So the first thing I want to say while I'm getting the starter and etc. is that I got it into my head to try to do this from watching J-Rose 11 videos all through quarantine. He's done like 30 of these runs so far, and if you see this video and are at all interested in this kind of thing, just go sub to J-Rose. I'm not a YouTube guy really. I don't see myself returning to the solo run minimum battles genre of content anytime soon. But now that that's out of the way, let's go over some ground rules. I'm playing on emulator, MGBA specifically because it was easier than going to Nebraska and getting my copy of Pokemon Red out. And I'm using no cheats or save states apart from the GameShark code that sets Slowpoke as my starter. In battle, I can only use Slowpoke. You'll see me get a couple other Pokemon throughout the game, but they're for HMs only. Slowpoke faints, that's a reset. I can't use items in battle because a Hyper Potion every other turn would make a challenge run like this pretty trivial. And finally, the big question I wanted to see answered here wasn't, can you beat Red and Blue with just a Slowpoke? Because the answer is you can. The answer for almost every Pokemon in the game is that you can. You can just get yourself to a really high level and win eventually. What I wanted to see was whether you could beat Pokemon Red and Blue with only Slowpoke while fighting the minimum required number of trainer battles. That means running from every wild encounter, avoiding every trainer battle that can possibly be avoided. And that in effect sets a hard level cap for the run. You can't level up past the problems. When there are no more battles, no more rare candies, that's it. That's the highest level you can reach. So we only have the one battle before Brock, the bug catcher at the end of Viridian Forest, whose one Weedle gives us enough EXP to get Slowpoke up to level 6. That sort of makes Brock a crapshoot. While it's good that Confusion is a special move that hits Geodude and Onix on their weaker special stat, Slowpoke, as you'll see here, just isn't doing enough damage with Confusion to knock out both of them at this level. And Slowpoke doesn't learn another move until Disable at level 18, so with no TMs available and no other trainer battles to level up, the only thing you can do is go in at level 6, use Confusion, and hope for Defense Curl, tackle misses, etc. And after a few more battles, in this one I get a bit luckier with a few more defense curls from the Geodude while I'm just using Confusion. I do get to the Onix, who promptly KOs Slowpoke. We're slower than Onix, as you can see, and we only have the one move that makes a huge difference because he can go first and you bide, which deals back double the damage taken after 2 or 3 turns. And we're obviously not doing enough to knock him out before taking the bide damage, but we are doing enough that when doubled it will knock Slowpoke out immediately. So it's becoming evident at this point that the strategy for Brock is going to be to hope for the 10% chance of Confusion, hope that Geodude and Onix hit themselves more often than not, and hope that Geodude uses 6 defense curls, as he does here. And this is what happens in the successful Brock battle. Geodude doesn't attack, so we make it to Onix with full HP. And then, after a failed Screech and a 2-turn bide, which is the best case scenario, we get the Confusion on the next one. Onix hits himself in Confusion not once, but twice, allowing us to make it through on 6 HP and continue to mount Moon. Oh, and we will get bide here from Brock, which is important later. Anyway, while Brock is talking, and while I show some clips of required trainer battles on the way to Mount Moon, I'm gonna talk about how I see the run going from here. It's already becoming apparent that Slowpoke has some serious problems, namely its speed, which is a fittingly low base 15. That means basically everything, including wild Pokemon, get a free shot at us before we can attack. You've seen already, and you might see again in a second, failing to run from wild Pidgeys and Rattatas, or from all the Zubats in Mount Moon. There's no way around that. We don't get agility or anything. The only thing we can do is take a hit, and then hopefully deal back enough damage so that the battle doesn't last too long. Another thing worth mentioning as we go through Mount Moon is that Slowpoke's base attack is relevantly higher than its base special. Its attack is 65, and its special is only 40. The best attacking moves we get are Water and Psychic type, which those are exclusively special in Generation 1, so we can't really take advantage of Slowpoke's base stats as well as we could if we got like Zen headbutt or something. You see me catch a Spearow here for fly. I'm not counting that as a battle because I didn't get EXP. And then pick up Water Gun in Mount Moon, our first water type stab move, before taking on the 2 required trainers here. The Rocket, and then the Super Nerd with the Grimer, who's guarding the Dome and Helix fossils. I always thought it was kind of fun how in Yellow version this Rocket is replaced by Jesse and James with their team from the anime. I think it's that way in the remakes too, in Fire Red and Leaf Green. I haven't actually played Let's Go, but I assume it's even more over the top there. Anyway, this section's pretty easy because the Rockets and Super Nerds have mostly poison types who themselves are slow. Can't do anything but pound or leech life. Hell, even the Voltorb here, he only has tackle and screech. But trust me, the next part of the game is way more complicated. So I actually go battle the junior trainer in Missy's gym first because I know I'm really way too low level to fight either Rival 2 or Misty at this point. The Rival has 4 Pokemon, well 3 if you exclude Abra, who's trivial at this point. His Pidgeotto's super annoying. Misty Starmie, I know Slowpoke resists Bubble Beam, but it's level 21, we're level 14, and it also resists both of our attacking moves, so it's like, what do I want to do? I was having a really hard time with these fights, which I think you'll see in some of these failed attempts, and I think the worst problem with them is that with both of them I could get close to winning, like really close, but I ended up a couple HP short, or ended up missing at the wrong time. So there wasn't a clear path forward, it wasn't obvious which battle I should focus on. I tried the Rival first, and trust me when I say this Pidgeotto took up the next hour of real time that I spent on this run. The problem with Pidgeotto, other than it being a relatively strong attacker compared to Slowpoke, is that it likes to use Sand Attack, which isn't that big a deal in normal playthrough of the game where you can just switch out to get rid of accuracy drops, but in a solo run, Sand Attack turns a pretty difficult but winnable battle into a 5-minute game of dice. In the first attempt here, I end up resetting because I just can't hit the Pidgeotto, and in subsequent runs, I'd get past Pidgeotto and then miss against Rattata or Bulbasaur. So I end up switching to battling Misty, for whom I thought I had a better strategy, or at least one that was a strategy as opposed to just hoping to hit some coin flips. Discovered after a few tries that Misty, who has what's called good AI in Generation 1, will only use Tackle with both Staryu and Starmie because she's programmed not to use moves that are not very effective. I kind of feel like Starmie's higher special and stab would make Bubble Beam do more damage than Tackle, but I never got to find out. She only uses Tackle and X defense, normally on like the second turn. So my strategy here was to use Bide of all things. I've been playing Pokemon since the games came out in like 97. Never once have I been in a situation where I had to use Bide, but here it's like the only option I have. Found out that there were 2 ways I could knock out the Staryu in 2 hits. A 2-turn Bide plus 1 attack from me, either Confusion or Water Gun, or a 3-turn Bide where Misty uses Tackle all 3 turns. I guess a 2-turn crit would work too. Like, see what I mean? It's close enough where having 1 more HP would give me a chance of winning, so it always felt close, but the math was never quite in my favor. But then, and I felt really stupid here, I realized there was a way to get exactly 1 more HP, the HP up in Mount Moon. And while the Bide strategy could work on Starmie, there was a better way to get past Staryu, maybe a less elegant or creative way, but one that worked to get me through with more health. I needed like 40 HP for Starmie, and that meant that if I could get past Staryu without taking all that damage, then it'd be no problem. The only way I could stop Staryu from hitting me was Confusion. I swear that hope they get confused isn't the long-term Slowpoke strategy, but you have to play with what you got in the early game. So here I knew I had a shot, and the Staryu got confused after 1 tackle, hit itself once, hit me once, pointless X defend, and I did the math here. Starmie has 59 HP, meaning I needed to take exactly 3 10 damage tackles to knock it out. So her crit didn't matter, though it did scare me quite a bit in the moment. I'm finally able to make some progress and pick up the 2nd badge. My hope was that this would make Rival 2 a bit easier, that the additional levels from Misty plus TM11 Bubble Beam would let me breeze past him to Nugget Bridge, where there were 6 mandatory battles plus 3 on the way to Bill's house, 2 outside Vermilion City, and after that Gen 1's much more open. You can kind of go wherever you want, take on the rest of the gyms in whatever order you want, and be able to pick my spots and figure out the best way through the game for Slowpoke. Rival 2 wasn't really any easier. I mean, the critical hit there didn't help, but it really didn't matter. Bubble Beam isn't doing nearly as much damage as I thought it would. It's not that much stronger than Confusion in terms of base power, and you'd think the chance to lower their speed would help, but Slowpoke's so slow that even after 2 speed drops, the Pidgeotto still outspeeds me. Here against the Abra, you can see just how annoying Sand Attack is. I didn't take that many Sand Attacks, but look how many Bubble Beams I'm missing here. Abra can't attack, so whatever, and I eventually switch over to Water Gun just to save PP. But Rattata and Bulbasaur can attack, and if Rattata uses Hyper Fang, which I think it's attacking randomly, but a couple Hyper Fangs will be enough to knock me out. And again, I'm always going to be going second because I'm slowpoke. Bubble Beam's a 2-hit KO on Rattata, but that means it gets at least 2 hits on me, or if I miss, I guess fewer if it decides to Tail Whip or something. But in this case, I missed, and that was like right before I had to log into a call for work, so I reset here, start again later, and I wish I could say that I figured out a cool new strategy to get past the rival. I did try Bide a couple times, if that still counts, but it turned out the best way to beat him at my current level was, again, Confusion Hacks. Pidgeotto got confused before it lowered my accuracy too much, and hit me too many times. I had a shot. In this battle, after one Sand Attack, I get the 10% Confusion chance. Pidgeotto hurts itself second turn, hurts itself again third turn, and gets lucky. No, I don't feel smart or good about it. It's inelegant, it's inconsistent, it requires a lot of resetting. But I do make it past the Pidgeotto with full health, only one accuracy drop, so like, if I'm ever going to make it past Rival 2 to the rest of the game, this is it. This is the one. Because Rattata is still a 2-hit KO. Bulbasaur is almost a 2-hit KO. I know that from getting to him before. And I still have a lot of HP going into him. He's using Growl. That's not so bad. I could have maybe taken one Vine Whip at that HP, maybe 2. I don't know. I'm really glad I didn't find out. And we are finally past what will end up being one of the hardest fights of the run, just a couple hours in. And I didn't show this because when I did it, I didn't think it'd be a huge deal, but throughout the game, I was doing my best to try out every TM to see if it worked on Slowpoke. And on Route 24, on the way to Bill's house, you pick up a TM that Slowpoke learns that I ended up keeping on my moveset almost to the end of the game. TM 45, Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave was, for most of the game, my way around Slowpoke's shitty speed stat, and as you'll see in this fight against rival number 3, which is the only required battle on the SSN and thus the only one you can do, Thunder Wave makes a huge difference. In tough trainer battles, I can use Thunder Wave first turn, and then, because Paralysis lowers the opponent's speed, I'll not only outspeed that Pokemon, but it'll also have a 25% chance to be fully paralyzed on subsequent turns, meaning I can take fewer hits and make it through with more HP. That alone helps a ton, but Slowpoke actually gets another move that has really nice synergy with Thunder Wave, learned at level 21, Headbutt. Headbutt is a 70 base power normal move, and is why I wasn't too miffed about not being able to get TM08 Body Slam on the SSN, because Headbutt has a 30% chance to flinch, which means if I Thunder Wave first and then use Headbutt, the opponent will only have about a 52% chance of attacking on the following turn, if I'm doing my math right. Competitive players from my era will be pretty familiar with this strategy, from the defensive Jirachi with Body Slam and Iron Head that was really popular in Gen 5, or Togekiss with Thunder Wave and Air Slash, and it's the same kind of thing here. Sure, I might not be one-shotting any of the rivals' Pokemon, but I don't get hit. When you don't have a healing move, you can't use items in battle, it's everything you can do to find ways to avoid taking unnecessary damage. So if I'm able to slow something down and avoid taking a hit, it's totally worth it. You'll see here a few of the battles in front of Rock Tunnel. I was having a really hard time figuring out how to get to Rock Tunnel without running into additional people. I did get it eventually though. So Rock Tunnel gives the one asterisk to this run. If you want to apply an asterisk to it. I'm not like submitting it anywhere, so I don't see why that would be necessary. But it's the one place where I'm not sure if I adhered to minimum battles. I think I fought one trainer too many. In his minimum battles video, J-Rose says there are 5 mandatory trainers in Rock Tunnel, but let's count here. First, there's the Pokemaniac with the Cubone and the Slowpoke. Second, the Pokemaniac with the level 25 Slowpoke. Neither of those are problems, but third, the junior trainer with the Oddish and the Bulbasaur. Then there's a hiker with 1 Geodude, and a hiker with 2 Geodude and a Graveler. But then, right before the exit, I run into this other junior trainer with a Meowth, and that's 6. And I don't know which one of them was the unnecessary one. It was dark, I didn't get Flash, I was following a map on Bulbapedia, I didn't get, catch this until later. And it looks like, okay, I got 1,000 extra XP from the junior trainer, which maybe it made a difference. I don't know. Spoilers, I have 7 rare candies that I use right when I get to the Elite Four, meaning the extra experience only mattered, and that it got me closer to level 28 at the time. But this is a part of the game where I wasn't immediately challenged. It was an easier part of the game, actually, where I get Psychic from Mr. Psychic, then fight the Rocket Game Corner. You saw I also got the 3 TMs from the girl in Celadon. I was planning on using Ice Beam, but I never actually taught it. I was thinking about replacing Headbutt with one of those, maybe with Tri Attack, but I got it in my head to save all the TMs until there was obviously a problem that I needed to solve, with the exception of Psychic, which I taught the moment I got it, and it was my best attacking move from the moment I got it until the end of the game. So you'll see at the end of the game when I'm going through my bag, I just have like 10 TMs that I never used, moves that Slowpoke could theoretically learn, like Fire Blast and Tri Attack. Anyway, there are 4 mandatory battles in the game corner. Poster guy, live key guy, 2 guys at the door, and then it's our first encounter with Giovanni, whom I'm not really afraid of, considering that in Red and Blue he has a bunch of ground types and then a Kangaskhan. And against Kangaskhan here, you'll see again the benefit of using Thunder Wave, even when I'm not going for Paraflinch afterwards, because I lead off with Thunder Wave here, and then he gets fully paralyzed on the subsequent turn, and I don't get hit again as I take him out with 2 Psychics. I kind of feel like the game gives you more of these 25% chances than it should, really, but maybe that's just confirmation bias or whatever, reasoning backwards from times where I've seen it happen. Oh, and to explain what I'm doing here, this is the part where I pick up an Abra from the game corner. I kind of thought it'd be nice to have something with Teleport. I realized this when I got the Teleport TM, but I didn't want to waste a slot on Slowpoke, obviously. So I picked up all the coins from the game corner floor and traded them for an Abra who I named Teleport. I never actually used Teleport. But I tried Erica next, being in Celadon already, and it quickly became apparent that she was not going to be possible. Victory Bell is always going to use a grass move, meaning Sleep Powder or Razor Leaf, and in Gen 1, moves with high crit ratios like Razor Leaf basically crit 100% of the time when used by an even moderately fast Pokemon, so Erica's always going to go first, either put me to sleep or one-hit KO me with Razor Leaf, and I don't really have a way around that other than coming back later when Slowpoke can maybe take a hit or outspeed, though I don't think he's ever going to be able to outspeed the Victory Bell, honestly. Exactly to go then. I didn't feel comfortable going back and taking on Surge. I figured there'd be a similar problem with his Raichu outspeeding me, so that leaves Lavender Town as an option, and my next battle is against rival number 4. Now the rival started out as really hard, but he actually wasn't an issue the last time we faced him. While I'm not sure whether it's going to be more the former or the latter, I'm instantly reassured when the Pidgeotto tries to Whirlwind me, a move that doesn't do anything at all in Gen 1. And I can paralyze him and start using Psychic, and Psychic is so much better than any attacking move I've had before. It's 90 base power, plus stab, and a 3-hit KO on Gyarados isn't bad, 51 HP isn't bad, especially when Growlithe is going to be a 1-hit KO. I resist all of Kadabra's attacking moves. The only way to stop a bad guy with a Psychic type in Gen 1 is a good guy with a Psychic type in Gen 1, am I right? And I have a really strong attack to use against Ivysaur. I thought it might 1-hit KO even, it comes pretty close, but Ivysaur uses Leech Seed, and then he uses Leech Seed again, doubling down on Leech Seed when an attack like Vine Whip might have given me something to worry about. And that's Rival 4, first try, not bad at all. Apart from situations like Surge and Erica that are total no-goes, Slowpoke's been holding up pretty well, actually. And I decided to go to Fuchsia City next to battle Koga after waking up, then running away from Snorlax here, tiptoeing nervously past these bikers, and picking up Surf in the Safari Zone. That's going to be Slowpoke's best water-type attacking move for the rest of the game. And from there, I just head into Koga's gym. Really that afraid of him, considering that Psychic is super effective against his whole team, but it ended up being a situation where I really would have wanted to level up just a little bit more. As you'll see, I get really close to knocking out the first Coughing in one hit, but I don't, and that tells me that none of his Pokemon are going to be a one-hit KO. Even worse, after the first Psychic gets Muck into yellow, I'm thinking the second will knock him out, that Muck will be a 2-hit KO at least, but as you'll see in a second here, it's not, and that might have been a damage range. I think if they go yellow on the first turn, that means below half, but I'm not sure whether the first one was max damage. I would have needed max twice to take him out. So the monk, after a couple X attacks, takes a chunk out of me, but smokescreen fails on the coughing, so we're even, and I'm thinking, okay, not poisoned, 94 HP, this is going to be fine, right? But I ran out of psychics. Probably because I potioned instead of going back to the Pokemon Center before Koga, that's my bad, and the wheezing finally poisons me, meaning this is going to be a bit closer than it really should be. Surf isn't doing enough damage, the poison has me on a timer, and after a sludge, wow, that's really low. Any attack next turn knocks me out. This is my fault, right? Just go to the Pokemon Center. I'll win next time, or Koga could use the next attack. That works too, and at this point, I figured I was at a high enough level to go back and battle Surge. Mostly I wanted to be able to fly back from Cinnabar after going there next, so I walked back to Vermilion, and honestly I maybe left Surge for a little bit too late, because look at my level compared to his. Voltorb is a one-hit KO, and that means Pikachu is also going to be a one-hit KO, and really, like, is Raichu going to be any different at this point? So I go for Psychic, and wow, that Thundershock crit did a lot of damage. A Thunderbolt would have done even more stock, and another one will knock me out, but Surge on his last turn using an X speed, making that 2 gyms in a row where I won because the gym leader used an X item instead of attacking me. I'm not complaining about that, I'm just acknowledging it. Anyway, the next place I'm going to go is Cinnabar, figuring that a super effective Surf is a better prospect than trying Erica again. And about now, I'm really starting to appreciate the openness of Gen 1. The odd requirements of this challenge, how it forces you to approach the game in a completely different way than you're used to. Like, as a kid, I had one of those Primus strategy guides for this game, the one with the Pokédex at the back. And I always figured that, you know, this is the order the gyms are in, this is the order the badges show up in your trainer card, this is how you have to play the game. But my gym leader order this time has been Brock, Misty, Koga, Surge, Blaine. That's 1, 2, 5, 3, 7, and I've never played the game in this order before. It's cool that you can do it, even. In Sun and Moon, they really committed to holding your hand throughout the game with the mini-map and the roadside gates and all. And then Sword and Shield, sure, the wild area is big and cool. I appreciate the variety it adds early in the game. I spent forever wandering around there in my first playthrough, but it's like more like a sideshow than like an addition to the game, because when you decide to get back to the main game, you're back on rails again. And with the permanent EXP share, you can't even make the game harder by not grinding, and I don't know, I don't want to get off topic here, but Blaine isn't that interesting. I use Surf a bunch of times, it gets a bit closer with Arcanine, but then he roars twice and misses takedown. Maybe you could say, okay, Gen 1 is easy too, with AI gym leaders who don't attack you, but it's easy in a way that's less predictable, or it gives you the freedom to make it hard on yourself by battling the gyms out of order, or being underleveled, or only using a slowpoke or whatever. Whereas in Sword and Shield, you can try to switch up your team, but in the end, you're going to be overleveled just from catching stuff and playing the game. Which is why I don't think there are really any interesting challenge videos for Sword and Shield. I tried to watch one, but it was just the most boring shit, because you win no matter what you do. Anyway, at this point I'm back at Erica, hoping the additional levels will help me out speed, but of course slowpoke. So this time I just kind of stick with it until I get a sleep powder miss, which it happens here on my second try. Sleep powder fails, I paralyze the victory bell because I don't think Psychic's going to be a one-hit KO. Headbutt for the flinch, she gets paralyzed, and the Psychic is definitely enough to take it down from half, and I'm instantly feeling much better. Her strongest Pokemon from my perspective is out of the way. I am faster than Tangela though, itself a really slow Pokemon. We're on to Vileplume, also really slow, not a huge problem, and you can see we're getting very close to level 40, which is an important milestone in any slowpoke run, because at level 40 we get the move that's going to make the rest of the game possible, Amnesia. Amnesia still exists in current gen Pokemon games, but it's way less overpowered now. You might remember it as a move that boosts special defense by 2 stages, a move that has at best situational use, that isn't really used at all in competitive play, but in Gen 1, special attack and special defense are combined into one stat, special, and Amnesia boosts special by 2 stages, meaning that Slowpoke can in one move double the power of its best move, Psychic, while also doubling its special defense. As if that wasn't good enough, stat boosting and stat lowering moves have an added effect in Gen 1, one that's become a meme at this point, the badge boost glitch. To summarize, in Gen 1 through Gen 4, when you get certain badges, the odd-numbered badges, so that's Brock, Surge, Koga, and Blaine, your stats are boosted by 12.5%, attack, defense, speed, and special respectively. That's cool, but it gets better. In Gen 1 only, these boosts are glitched, and it's an unavoidable glitch that occurs whether you're trying to use it or not. Every time your stats are modified, whether by a boosting move like Amnesia, or even by an opponent's stat-lowering move like Leer, the badge boost is reapplied. That is, your new 112.5% attack, defense, speed, and special are raised by another 12.5% to 126%, etc., etc. So when Gyarados used Leer there, it boosted all my stats. And that's why it's hard to class this as a glitch in the sense of like, I shouldn't be allowed to use it, because how could I avoid being leered by the Gyarados there? Anyway, so there we go, level 40, and I kept Headbutt way longer than I intended to. I used it way more often than I thought I would, but at level 40, we've become a full special attacker. Teach Amnesia, and a little Slowpoke is now as terrifying a setup sweeper as Volcarona in its prime, though like, still slow. But this is a big change. Previously, our best strategy in any given situation was to use Thunder Wave and then Headbutt to soften them up, while hopefully avoiding a couple hits, then finish them off with Psychic. Now it's all about finding places to set up to +6 with Amnesia and then sweep. With 3 Amnesias, Surfer Psychic will one-hit KO anything that doesn't resist. And with the extra badge boost, we might even be able to start outspeeding some stuff. For trainer battles, I'm going to be using Amnesia, taking advantage of badge boosts, and trying to find Pokemon against whom I can set up. And I don't even heal before going into Giovanni. That's how confident I am in the little pink guy at this point. And you can see here that like I was right to be confident. Nidorino's a one-hit KO with Psychic. After 1 Amnesia, Kangaskhan is also a one-hit KO. Rage does next to nothing. Obviously, Rhyhorn is also going to be a one-hit KO. And Nidoqueen is similarly going to be a one-hit KO. And after that, I'm ready to go battle Sabrina, who's the 7th gym leader of this run, and of whom I'm not scared at all, considering what Amnesia can do for me. I mean, we've basically got our moveset for the rest of the gyms. Surf, Psychic, Thunder Wave, and Amnesia. And judging from how that Giovanni battle went, the next battle against him isn't going to be troubling either. But Sabrina first, and against Sabrina, my first thought is just like probably paralyze the Kadabra and then either set up against it or Mr. Mime. It really shouldn't matter which. And in fact, you'll see here as the battle starts that after I paralyze the Kadabra, she's really not doing anything with Psybeam. And she's not doing much anyway because of the resistance, but look how little it does after an Amnesia. After 2, there's no way. This battle is already over. Kadabra's a one-shot with Surf once I finally start attacking. Mr. Mime is also going to be a one-shot with Surf, though it's worth mentioning here that when you level up in battle, the badge boost glitch is reset. That is, when I hit level 42 after the Kadabra, the additional boost I got to my attack, defense, and speed from using Amnesia went away, which Mr. Mime is pretty fast, but maybe I would have outsped? I don't know, probably not. And it's not a big deal here because Venomoth is easy, or Alakazam can't do very much to me with resisted Psychic type moves. I think that's why it keeps using Recover here, because I'm a Psychic type and it knows Psychic is resisted. But against the Elite Four, I'm going to have to pay attention to when I'm leveling up and to try not to level up in the middle of any particular battle, so as to preserve the additional badge boost and maximize my chances. And it's kind of tough in a minimum battles run because you can't just go fight a couple more wild Pokemon to manipulate your experience points. Make sure you level up at the right time. It's just down to when you use rare candies and what order you approach the required battles. I was going to say that's a problem for another time, but it's really not. Giovanni's the last gym leader. He's the next battle after Sabrina. Well, there's 2 guys you have to fight in his gym first, and he's not scary at all. Like, I don't think I needed to set up Amnesia at all. Slowpoke just matches up so well against his team by total chance that I think I could win this without boosting. Doug Trio has no defenses to speak of, so he's an obvious one-shot with Surf. but Nidoqueen is a lot bulkier, and as you'll see here, it paralyzes me with the first body slam, and I'm temporarily like a little bit worried. If Giovanni had an Earthquake on the Nidoqueen or the Nidoking, which he does in Yellow version, he probably could have knocked me out from there. But the best thing Nidoking has to hit me with is Poison Sting, and after a quick Surf, that's it. That's all 8 gyms with just a Slowpoke, minimum battles, and you've seen all the important ones basically, but the 6 hardest battles in the game still remain. Well, 5 plus the rival one more time, so let's take a look at that one. So his Pidgeotto has evolved into Pidgeot by now, but my Slowpoke is still the same little pink Slowpoke, and I'm still using Thunder Wave first turn. Then the idea is to set up as many Amuses as I can before I get too low on HP, and knock out the Pidgeot with either Surf or Psychic. It really doesn't matter what I use on the Pidgeot. Rhyhorn comes out second. Rhyhorn is never going to be a problem. It's going to be a one-shot with Surf. And Gyarados, well, Gyarados is close to a one-shot, and I actually don't mind that he leers me, because that boosts my speed and special again before Growlithe. So after Gyarados hits me once, I actually end up outspeeding the Growlithe, which I definitely would not have done without the additional badge boost. Alakazam, I'm not afraid. I paralyze it. I probably actually didn't need to spend the turn paralyzing it. I could have just knocked it out with Surf. Don't know what it could have done to me necessarily. And then against Venusaur, with my Amnesia boost, Vine Whip really doesn't do very much, and Psychic is obviously a one-shot. So that's it. That's the game, right? Well, there are no mandatory battles in Victory Road, so I'm gonna have to skip to Indigo Plateau now, where I use all the rare candies I've picked up throughout the game, saving one of them in case I need to level up before a particular Elite Four member to preserve badge boosts. And after that, it's time to take on Lorelei. It's time to see whether Slowpoke can make it through the toughest trainers in the game without saving in between members. That's another thing I'm adopting from J-Rose's channels. It's not really fair to save between Elite Four members. It's better to try to come up with some kind of strategy that'll work to beat all of them. Anyway, I actually did one attempt at Lorelei at level 46 before the rare candy was lost, but at level 53, Lorelei is very, very easy for Slowpoke. Because she has the good AI, her Dugong won't use its not very effective Ice-type moves, meaning it's always going to go for either Growl or Takedown. Growl boosts my speed, defense, and special while lowering my attack, which I'm not using, and Takedown doesn't hit me that hard, meaning I'm safely able to set up 3 Amnesias against the Dugong every time. That'll normally get a couple extra boosts from it using Growl. After that, Psychic's a one-hit KO, it's a one-hit KO on Cloyster, Surf's a 2-hit KO on a Slowbro, Jinx is maybe a range, could outspeed it sometimes, but not every time. It's probably continuing on how many Growls she uses. Lapras is a 2-hit KO with Psychic, and Bruno's definitely not a problem. Like, I don't even bother setting up on the Onix here, I just use Surf and knock it out in one turn, because none of these Pokemon are going to be able to do anything to me. Like, what can they possibly... Oh. Well, I guess he could freeze me with Ice Punch. Yeah, in Gen 1, he never thaw out. I think the only way to thaw is by using Flamethrower, so this is just a reset. I'm sorry, I had to keep it in though, because it was the only way Bruno could beat me, and he got it the first time I battled him, the freeze with Ice Punch on Hitmonchan. It would happen in one more later attempt, but apart from that tiny chance of him using Ice Punch and then freezing me with Ice Punch, Bruno was pretty easy. It was an easy victory every other time, I swear. Obviously, I'm not going to show all my attempts at the Elite Four because that would take too long, but the Hitmonchan, that's weird. I would expect it to always use Thunder Punch because it's super effective, but Bruno seems to attack like semi-randomly. Like sometimes he uses Mega Punch first turn, sometimes he uses an X defense, sometimes he uses Ice Punch. I have no idea what kind of logic governs Bruno's decisions, but okay. No more fucking around. This is a real run. This is a real attempt at the Elite Four. I'm speeding past Lorelei because she looks the same. Again, just a bunch of Amnesias and then knock everything out in one hit. And then after I heal here, you'll see a more typical Bruno run, one more indicative of his ability to trouble me. Onyx is a one-hit KO with Surf, Hitmonchan's a one-hit KO with Psychic, Hitmonlee is a one-hit KO with Psychic, but they're taking me lower than I want to be, and so against the second Onyx, because I'm kind of more afraid of Machamp, I decided to see, like, should I be setting up Amnesias here to outspeed? So I use 3 and then I do outspeed Machamp. That's great to know if I ever have to come back here. Probably set up sooner if that happens, and yeah, I figured I'd have to battle Bruno again because I hadn't even seen how Slowpoke matches up with Agatha. And looking at her team, I don't feel great. Agatha's hard. I mean, Gengar's fast is the problem. I mean, that's one problem. The Gengar and the Haunters will always outspeed Slowpoke, even after 3 badge boosts. And as you can see here, Psychic is not a one-hit KO against Gengar unboosted. That's a problem because the first Gengar with Confuse Ray, Nightshade, Hypnosis, and Dream Eater is a terrible Pokemon to set up against. You really want that first Gengar on the screen as little as possible. Funnily enough, she switches to Golbat here, which can also cause me problems. Golbat has Confuse Ray and Supersonic, which is weird, but it also has Haze, which gets rid of all my boosts. Badge boosts, Amnesia boosts, meaning I can't set up against it either, really, and in my experience it always came out second, so there was no way to set up consistently at the beginning of the battle. I just kind of had to brute force my way through routine, hoping I wouldn't be confused when it was important. After I finally knock out the Golbat, she sends back out the paralyzed Gengar, and I'm thinking, okay, easy knockout here, but even when paralyzed without badge boost, the Gengar outspeeds me, and it tries to confuse me again. I guess that's the best thing it could do, so I do knock it out, but she still has 3 Pokemon left, and I'm confused. With 2/3 health, I have only 1 Amnesia set up, and then Haunter puts me to sleep. In Gen 1, sleep is absolutely brutal. You don't get to attack on the turn you wake up, so it lasts a turn longer, and even when she, I don't know, was trolling me by switching into Arbok there to knock me out with Bite, I don't know, man. It just wasn't working out. Like, I would get to Agatha 99% of the time, and I only won once or twice, and after maybe an hour of trying, I had to accept that it just wasn't working. I tried a lot of different approaches too. I tried Thunder Wave and 1 Amnesia for the first Gengar, but it just barely wasn't a one-hit KO. I taught Earthquake and tried that, but it also wasn't a one-hit KO on Gengar. She seemed to be able to predict my Earthquakes and switch into Golbat, which was crazy. I don't know whether it was luck or whether she was actually predicting it somehow. So I had to look some stuff up. What more could I do in order to make my Slowpoke stronger without fighting any non-essential battles? What moves could I go get that I could use instead of Thunder Wave? So here you see me going to Cycling Road and getting a rare candy that I missed, going to the power plant for a rare candy, selling all my items for calciums because I bought all the Carbos I could use already, and then realizing that, wait, I actually want TM33 for Lance. That's Reflect. Got it at the power plant and then sold it. So here you'll actually see me sell some other stuff and then go back downstairs and buy Reflect from the same guy, which thank God that TM is sold and solid on. I don't know if I would have been able to make it through the game without it. While I'm running errands, I also am going to pick up Mimic in a second. Mimic is really overpowered in Gen 1. It lets you choose one of the opponent's moves and then learn it for the rest of the battle. So you can mimic coverage moves or boosting moves, stuff like Recover. And my thought here was that I might try mimicking Agility on Lance's Dragonair, so that I can outspeed his team consistently, or maybe Recover on the rival's Alakazam. I wasn't sure at this point. See, like, you can see my bag is mostly unused TMs, but they're all moves that Slowpoke can use. Moves that I saved because, like, what if I need them at some point? What if having Earthquake or Reflect or Mimic was the difference between winning and losing? Slowpoke was at the highest possible level at minimum battles. I had every move I could possibly have, and I felt like, I don't know, I had to have every tool available to me. I had every possible avenue needed to be explored. But would it be enough? We'll see. So as always, 3 Amnesias against Dugong to raise my special to +6. And it's not totally as generous with Growl this time, but I do get Growl once. and that means everything except Lapras is going to be a one-hit KO. Well, everything except Lapras and Slowbro, which is a two-hit KO with Surf. But Slowbro, knowing instinctively that we're family, I don't think it ever actually attacked me in all of these runs. It prefers to growl in this instance, and that benefits me actually with those 2 growls and the additional calciums I bought, along with the added levels. Jinx is going to be a one-hit KO, but then after that, Lapras is a one-hit KO. I never get a one-hit KO on Lapras before, meaning that the extra errand running was definitely worth it. And I especially think being at a higher level helped, even though it's just like 1 or 2 levels. Like the added boost to every single stat is such a big deal. Anyway, against Bruno, I've by now figured out a totally consistent strategy, which is, surprise, surprise, to use Amnesia 3 times against the Onix, who can't do much of anything to me, and then sweep through Bruno's team with Surf, Psychic, Psychic, Surf, and Psychic. Hitmonchan doesn't freeze me this time, thank you. And while I don't outspeed the Hitmonlee, Focus Energy does nothing in Generation 1. Onix is a one-hit KO with Surf, and I even outspeed the Machamp with the badge boost this time, meaning I'm through Bruno without a sweat. And then we're back to Agatha, the real bitch in this Elite Four run. The reason why I got out the extra rare candies, the extra calciums. If I couldn't figure out a way to make her more consistent, like, the run just wasn't going to last much longer. But my fervent hope is that being 2 levels higher would mean I take less damage, and that it'd be enough to make the coin flips go my way otherwise. So here I Amnesia once, which I'm hoping is enough to one-hit KO anything, given that they're weak to Psychic. Setting up more would be dangerous anyway. I take a Nightshade and then shrug off a Green Mirror before knocking out her first game with Psychic. Golbat comes out again, and this time, well, I guess she really likes switching around. She switches into Haunter, which obviously can't take a Psychic if Gengar couldn't. And I get a free knockout, which is huge, especially because the Haunter was the other thing that could put me to sleep. Then Golbat and I have a little tete-a-tete where I'm trying to use Amnesia, she's using Haze to cancel my boost, and in the middle I get confused too. When I eventually knock her out, I once again don't have any boosts. Fortunately for all her shit, Arbok is the weakest, and I feel safe going for 1 Amnesia before Psychic, in hopes that'll be enough to knock out the last Gengar. I'm not doing great health-wise though. I really kind of need this to one-shot, and it doesn't. And I get confused again, but then Agatha Super Potions turn 2, and that's it. That is an Agatha fight I can more or less be happy with. Sure, she didn't play optimally, but she did all the usual annoying stuff. And I could have taken 1 more hit even and been okay, or 1 more Nightshade. There's some things that could have gone my way too that didn't. So I'm happy with that overall. And Lance. Now, I'd actually made it to Lance a couple times before, and I'd beaten him once, but it was just lucky, and I can't say I really had a working strategy for Lance. I did have an idea though, and that was Reflect. So Lance always leads with Gyarados, which has Hyper Beam, Leer, Dragon Rage, and Hydro Pump. And with that moveset, he's got equal chances of using Hyper Beam, Leer, and Dragon Rage. That actually, as dumb as it sounds, makes Gyarados an okay Pokemon to set up on, depending on what he does. Reflect is another move that works differently in Generation 1. Instead of lasting 5 turns and benefiting your whole team, it lasts for the whole battle, so long as you don't switch out. It works more like Barrier, but it doesn't stack. And that means I can use Reflect early in the battle in order to mitigate the damage that Lance is doing with big attacks like Hyper Beam. So here I Reflect turn 1, hoping that the Gyarados goes for Leer, and he does. Now Leer is kind of bad because it's basically eliminating my Reflect after a couple. It's also good because it's triggering the bad boost glitch. So as I'm setting up Amnesias to do more damage, the Gyarados is boosting my speed, and especially even further, meaning that after 3 Amnesias and 3 Leers, I outspeed, and I outspeed the Dragonairs too, and that means I'll maybe even outspeed Dragonite. And is this battle over already? Well, Hyper Beam with Aerodactyl, I guess my defense is +2, -4, +12.5 times 6, I don't know. What's important is that I can take 1 hit hit back with Surf, and then outspeed the Dragonite. That's from all the Gyarados using Leer. I would not have outsped without those Leers. And this ends up looking a lot more comfortable than it felt, because I had no idea if I'd be faster than Dragonite at that level. But here we are. On to the rival. I mean, he was the hardest trainer in the game back in Cerulean. It was easy after that. I don't know which one it's going to be this time. Before the battle, you can see me thinking hard about teaching Mimic, but in the end, I thought Reflect was useful against Lance. I thought it might be useful again. So I decide in the end to go into the battle with Reflect and to kind of use the same strategy as I did against Lance, to Reflect turn 1 and then set up Amnesias, and hopefully, I don't know, man. I really hadn't made it to the rival before this. I was just going in, like, I made it to him once and lost immediately. So I'm hoping this time's gonna go better, I guess. Pidgeot first turn does the best thing you can do when you're soloing the battle. He tries to whirlwind me out. That's great. Free Reflect. After that, I'm going to try to get to +6 and sweep. So I go for Amnesia second turn, and he goes for Sky Attack, which is the absolute best case scenario. Sky Attack takes 2 turns, charging and then hitting, so I get off another Amnesia while he's charging again, and he's really not doing that much damage. I'm at 139 after knocking out Pidgeot with Psychic. That's totally respectable, but more importantly, my defense is high, my special is high, and look at how much little that Alakazam did with Psybeam. That's the most powerful special attacker in the game, bar Mewtwo. Surf's obviously going to be a one-hit KO on Rhydon too, so I mean, this has to be it, right? Like, the Gyarados comes out, he leers me, okay, thanks for the speed. I might even outspeed Arcanine now. Like, is that it? Is that, oh no, that's a critical hit takedown. That goes for Reflect, and oh no. If the Venusaur hits me at all, maybe he'll go for Solar Beam. Oh no, Razor Leaf missed. God, I recorded this last night, but it's still like, wow, what a miracle there. Razor Leaf has 95% accuracy, so like, I don't know, there's a 5% chance of that miss. I guess there would have been a 50% chance of him going for Solar Beam instead if he's just using the super effective move, but like, Jesus Christ. What an ending. I don't know. I don't know whether the crit mattered on Arcanine, whether I could have taken a Razor Leaf before a non-crit takedown. Probably not. Anyway, that's the battle. I'll take it. It's a win. That's Slowpoke. Minimum battles, no items in battle, making it through on level 62, 6 hours of in-game time. Not bad, really. I mean, not bad at all. And it was a super fun way to play through a game that I'd played through dozens of times before this. I enjoyed it a lot. That said, editing a video is harder than, I mean, I would say harder than people make it seem. It's way harder than people make it seem. So we're probably not going to do this again. If you enjoyed watching this, seriously, just go sub to J-Rose instead. His videos are better anyway, but I had fun making it. I'm glad I was able to play through with, I don't know, Slowpoke's quickly become one of my favorite Pokemon over the last couple of years. The fast Slowpoke in Sword and Shield really did it for me. But that's it. That's Slowpoke, minimum battles, red and blue. Thanks for watching, I guess. Bye.